Hey, soul survivors, we are live. We are going to talk about I am and yet, the power of just those phrases. So feel free to join in, hit that like button. I see some people already here. So thank you for joining. So the power of I am, when we want to manifest the life that we feel that we're meant to have, sometimes just the way that we verbalize things can really make a difference. And it changes your self-esteem, the way that your life is projected forward. Feel free to comment. I can take different comments and things like that, but I just thought this would be good to just start off with. So when you allow people to change the way you feel about yourself, or if you have that imposter syndrome where you can't feel confident in the things that you do, you start using a lot of negative talk and self-sabotaging. So the power of I am, let's say I want to be a ballerina and I say I am a ballerina, where it's like a part of my heart. And you can do this with anything that you're dealing with. So the power of I am, let's say, a ballerina. I'm going to put in the practice. I am going to go to auditions. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that to make that an actual reality. So I match what I am. But if I say I hope to be, then when I start going to auditions, maybe I'm like, I'm not good enough. I'm not this, that it changes your motivation. It changes the way you handle the criticism. And you can do that, am I a good person? I am a good person. I deserve this. And when you start believing that, it manifests. And it's really weird how that works. Also the power of yet. If I add, if you're not quite strong enough to say I am, you can say I'm not a ballerina yet, to where you are still moving it forward. So maybe start with the yes statements and then continue on into the I am statements. But mindfulness will make a difference in your life. And I was talking with a friend of mine, and she was saying that she needed her person to give her the comfort. And I get that. I've been there. We put our needs onto someone else. And here's the problem with that, is that people pass away. People can leave us sometimes, unexpected whatevers. But that's where we grow. That's where the lesson is in this. So if you are needing external validation, that's kind of where we need to build up our self-esteem. We need to build up our coping mechanisms and take responsibility for our own life. So she's putting the pressure onto this person. And is that a fair pressure? People will be there for you, but when you start needing them 100%, where you can't even cope with your own emotions, it's going to start pushing people away. They're going to start feeling overwhelmed. So I see lots of you guys joining. We are doing great. We are popular live. Oh, you love me. I love you too. Good to have you guys here. I did take a nap today, but I am miserably tired. I'm so smart. Thank you. A lot of life lessons. I also have studied pretty much everything. I've literally studied almost everything. I'm your best friend. No, you're so sweet. So how we perceive ourselves is what's going to happen. And which way we're going to go in life. So I just thought it was really interesting. Even the manifesting thing, there is something to it, that also the energies that are out there. I had a lot of ringing in my ears today. It was a nice calm day. As far as peaceful in my heart, it was a calm day. I woke up from my nap, but my ears were ringing. And I've done some studies and some videos on the ringing. And the reason I wanted to do that is because when we talk about people, there's an exchange of energy between people. And they were talking about like some thrasher bands, when they're up there playing, that their mind starts syncing with the other band members, that we have to be careful when we're around people, when we're doing certain things, that what are we attuning ourselves to? Are we attuning ourselves to the correct people? And the ringing in the ears, with the cell phones and the Wi-Fi just going through the air and the microwaves and all these things that, about the brain damage, because I am getting older. We had COVID. I have a little COVID brain, or maybe I'm getting older, or maybe I'm stressed, but I want to keep my brain as healthy as possible. So I want to do more research on that. I know a lot of you, and I'm not talking about like an ear infection or tinnitus, the ringing in the ears due to external forces, EMF, electromagnetic fields, and all these different things. So I know in America, yes, it says encourage your followers to share and invite people. So feel free to do that. Look at all that love. Just got a new follower. Thank you so much. But America has a really high incidence of mental illness, and I'd like to get into that. Also, I just came across this study of assisted unaliving medically, to where Canada had, since 2016, they did the assisted unaliving. And they had about just under 900 people. But in America, in California, it was allowed, might still be allowed, but they had 50,000 of these types of assistance related things. So 900 compared to 50,000 with the same side. So are we just allowing people to get too depressed and, saying it's hopeless? Because 50,000 people felt the need to do that. I don't know their backstories. Was it medical? Was it, physical, where sometimes we feel helpless? But you guys are great. I love all the love. Thank you. So what do you guys want to talk about tonight? We can open this up. We can do different discussions, or you can hear me talk. I can talk about anything. But it was a good day today. We had terrible, terrible weather this morning. I was able to get out to my car, and I stepped, I guess my driveway kind of goes down a little bit. The water was this deep within just a few minutes. So it's all gone now. But what's going on with the weather too? We have a lot of tornadoes. I'm up in Michigan, and we have a lot of stressors in life. But I really see something in some ways that we are handling things different. Also, we have to know our person. We have to. Some of us have gone, above and beyond. And we have to realize that with narcissism, they're just takers. They don't want to compromise. And it's a terrible cycle. They do discard, whether it's like permanently or just emotionally. It's a terrible life. And I'm studying dismissive avoidance and narcissist, because is there a way to better distinguish the two, because they are so similar? Hi, Amy, my friend growing up from 8 years old. Good to have you here. August 13th is coming up. But I just find it interesting that sometimes some of these relationships can be saved, that the way people are handling it, reactive abuse does happen. And there are ways to handle certain things differently. It's an interesting dynamic when you're dealing with a narcissist, but they start distorting your reality. So it's going to be a toxic relationship. It's not something that's going to be healthy. You're going to cater to their needs, and, till death do us part, but they will start causing brain damage in you. So really think about what you're doing. I'm all pro marriage, that you should, go through the thicks and thins of it. But when it starts damaging your brain and you can't communicate the right way, when you try your best, but it can be lessened. So if you guys have decided to stay, there are ways to make it better, but your needs are still going to go unseen, and you're going to end up being roommates. So there are times you could be roommates, be distant, just go about your life. But it's really important to maintain your sense of self. And I saw this one post where this one lady was uncomfortable that this man that she started dating was going to go to a work type reunion, and he didn't invite her. and she was really upset about it. He did invite her to this, different state. They were going to meet up with some of his friends. And she's like, well, you'll invite me to this, but you won't invite me to that. Sometimes we have to let our people do whatever they're going to do, that, we have to give them some grace, that, hopefully there's trust, but if you have like trust issues, make sure it's because of your person, not from somebody in your past. And when we start going and looking at the past, a lot of anxiety can be built up, a lot of regrets. But if we live in the present, we are much happier. We are living instead of hoping to live or regretting some of the things or wishing for the past. Well, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. And talking about that. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. I just saw this crazy video of this one doctor who utilizes passing gas on people's faces to heal them. So sometimes make sure you're not dealing with a quack that's out there. And I also see a lot of, we're just living in this crazy world of manipulation and deceit, and, people like playing jokes and trying to say something's funny, but they don't tell you that it's a joke. So we're getting a lot of information that isn't true. And it's hard to know what reality is anymore. So if you've dealt with a narcissist, it's already difficult understanding what reality is because of the way that the gaslighting happens, the cognitive dissonance that we go through. And it deals with a dopamine hit. The reason we get this dopamine going off in our brains is because of the intermittent reinforcement. Also, if you get butterflies are only supposed to be in the beginning. It's not supposed to be like lifelong. And the reason you get those butterflies is because it's anticipatory. You're not sure what's going to happen. And it's like an excitement. And if you're in a long-term relationship, that's not healthy. And it means that you're not settled into your relationship. I love these people sharing their personal information. But what are some things that you guys struggle with? Maybe some stories of triumph, because there are ways to handle certain things, and we have to be whole within ourselves. When we're not whole within ourselves, there's those little cracks within our personality that's going to either allow somebody to tear us down more, or we're going to become anxious, or we're not going to handle things the right way. So when we don't take things personally, as a teacher, I get a lot of insults, not that much with high schoolers. They're pretty cool. They love me. But, little kids like to say whatever. But we have to take it. It's not personal. Everybody has their own perspective on things. And I was thinking about like an analogy that, as an example, I like my eyes. I have blue eyes. I like them. So I can like them. But when I start comparing them to other people, maybe I'm not going to like them as much, where I'm like, they're not blue enough, or they're not big enough or small enough, or my lashes aren't long enough. But if I like something about me, to like it. And when we start comparing can cut down your self-esteem. That just do the best for you. You are who you are, and you're a beautiful creation. You did too. All right, Scooter. Scooter. You guys are crazy. Maybe it's because you were so excited about joining the live. Is that why? I love it. And each one of the platforms is different. Right now, I'm trying to feel out my audience, see where I'm going to maintain most of my time. But you guys have been great supports, and we're growing like wildfire. I would like to start traveling and meeting you guys in person. And when you guys interact with each other, we help validate each other, start building friendships, relationships, sharing stories. Sometimes it feels good to get it off your chest. I have a lot of people who have done podcasts with me where they're like, that was really helpful. Sometimes just being heard. So if you guys would like to do a podcast with me, email me, Cynthia@asoulsurvivor.com, SOUL. But we all have stories. We all have pasts. And sometimes we need some grace in going through things. But back to that story about that lady is we can't overpower someone. We can't expect somebody's full attention. That, we have to realize, are we being too needy? Because there are things where, I see across the internet, and if you've dealt with a narcissist, a lot of them will say that you're being too needy. And that's when you get in that triggered state to where either you're blowing their phone up or trying to get information or acting out of character. But your basic needs are to be loved. And I was studying just today about the hierarchy of love, Maslow's. I always want to say Maslow because of Pavlov. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that we have the basic ones: food, shelter, love. And, you get into the higher steps. So this is like survival. And when you're in a detriment, that's when you're going to start being needy. That there's a detriment there, and we got to figure out how to fill that detriment, because we can't come to self-actualization, to the best life possible. We stunt ourselves at the growth, and we can be stuck at different stages. So if you're hungry, you're going to be in that particular state. You're not going to think, about growing and accomplishing your dreams. You're just going to be thinking about the next meal, and it becomes like an obsession. So keeping our minds healthy, we have to realize that we're not in the serotonin level. We're not just enjoying life and feeling fulfilled, that we're actually, in a sense, becoming a dopamine addict. And we get that from that intermittent reinforcement when you're dealing with a narcissist or dismissive avoidant, sometimes even psychopath, sociopaths, that we fall in love with somebody who is not consistent. Consistency is so important. And so you think about the narcissist, they get their little hits, you're giving them above and beyond. And if you think about it, when it becomes like an addictive type of drug, that your high is going to need more and more and more. Now, if you're at the peaceful level, you can maintain life that way. You can function, you can think. But just like a heroin addict or a drug addict, that you're going to start doing stupid stuff. You're going to start getting in desperation modes or panic modes, anxiety. And I love all the different names you guys have. So welcome to the channel, guys. How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like when you're going through that, it's like a withdrawal. They say it's like 10 times more addictive than cocaine. It's like a heroin withdrawal, and it can be quite painful, confusing. And if you've gone through a breakup with somebody who has been, several of the different mental illnesses, that it can end quite abruptly and often without warning. And it's almost like cutting off a heroin addict instantly. They're going to freak out. They're going to get extremely sick instead of weaning them off. So with that dopamine stuff going on in our brains, it's like a crash. It's a hard crash. And it's my hope to help you guys not get too depressed or to get stuck in that rumination, to realize, how can we overcome this? How can we grow? And we have to take the steps to do it. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to understand that not everything was our fault. Take accountability for what you could have done different, but also realize that doing things different, the more you give a narcissist, the more they take. And if you think about the money in your wallet right now, you only have so much, and there's only so much we can take without being replenished. If you're in a relationship, it's not to serve someone. You're not a slave. That it's supposed to be two people growing together. We need to grow as humans to stay mentally alert, physically healthy. And when we bottle things up inside, because we're starting to walk on eggshells, we're trying not to start arguments, that it starts manifesting in ourselves to where we start getting illnesses, and we have to release this. So, exercise is a great way, reconnecting with people who will help you grow, get in tune with yourself. What hobbies do you want to do? What type of activities? And with where we're at in today's day and age is we have a lot of internet stuff. But it's a scary world out there, and so many people wanting to take advantage of others, that we're losing the connection with people. I know that the young people are really struggling. They had the COVID years during their school time, and then, they're addicted to their phones. They're so addicted to their phones. And the connection is, through text, and people are losing social skills. Also, I've done it too, where you start that doom scrolling. I like to research things. I like to learn. So I start out where I am trying to learn really cool things. And then I'll click on something that is like, well, I'm not exactly sure if I agree with that. So I try to listen to it. And then it takes you down this whole other path. And then it gets into like, I don't know, crazy, silly stuff. Like today I saw somebody that was cool. I mean, it was kind of neat, but she took these planters and placed them with a stick in between. So you got all these flowers and it looks like an illusion. Like, how is it? But like, that had nothing to do with like the deep intellectual stuff that I was trying to research. And then you click on something and it doesn't give you what you're looking for. But thank you guys. AJ, nice to have you here. And Scooter, poor Scooter, I hope you feel better. Poor Scooter is sharing that they have diarrhea. Anybody else have any illnesses they want to share? At least you're being vulnerable, because with narcissism, they do not like to be vulnerable. They like to hide things. And I don't know why my live chat did that. But feel free to tell me what you guys are going through. There's a time that you're going to go through where you just need some extra rest, and there's nothing wrong with that. That the ruminating kind of starts, but we have to take control over our thoughts, and we have to be careful with the words that we say. Fair Green Tube, once you are all well versed in narcissism and all of the whys are answered, why are they like that? Will they change? Are they really happy without me? Once you figure it out, it won't bother you. Perfectly said. Thank you so much for sharing that, because for years, oh my gosh, like I saw the pattern that I went through. It's almost like I understood what was happening, because I was blowing his phone up. I'll be honest, blowing his phone up and then apologizing. If you guys can relate, give me a thumbs up. But all the things that I was saying were exactly indicative of this, abused woman syndrome type stuff, to where, you're apologizing and trying to connect and trying to understand. And when you're trying to understand that, they don't want to give you the time of day. And that can be extremely hurtful, because they just promise you the world and then they're gone, and you feel something and you're trying to be loyal and faithful and stick it out because that was your promise. You're trying to stay true to them. That's when you got to have the boundaries. But sometimes we're too afraid to lose somebody that we actually kind of escalate them, but will they change? Why are they like that? They're like that because they're selfish. They're like that because sometimes it's easier for them. They get their needs met and they don't like taking accountability. So they're going to shut down. When you try to talk to them, if they are still in a triggered state, they're going to be terrible towards you. Nothing is going to sink into them. And it's really sad that, you can have a genuine concern about them, where, let's say you guys have plans and you're like, are you still not feeling well? Are you going to be able to go? And then they'll just go off on you and you're like, oh my gosh, like they don't answer questions, and then they turn it around and you're like, it was a genuine question. And you start like wondering, like, how do I even handle this situation? That it's a losing battle. Will they change? And are they really happy without me? And I kind of give it like this kind of insight, during the breakup stage, you're depressed, you're sad, you're crying all the time. And I've gone like to little fairs or on a roller coaster, and I'm having fun on that roller coaster. but then I go right back to being sad. It's kind of like the narcissist. They can have fun, but eventually that high is going to come down and they're just going to go back to being who they are. So as far as me being sad, I had to come out of that. But do they come out of it? Temporarily, but it's ingrained in them because of the brain damage. And, there are ways, our brains have been damaged too, but there are ways to rewire it, but it's painful. And it takes steps to do it. And you have to give yourself grace. And once you figure it out, it won't bother you. Now, you're still going to have times where, you're going to be mad that it all happened. You're going to feel it's unfair, but we're no longer in that victim mentality. We're in the survivor mentality, and that we are coming out stronger and better. Be careful. A lot of times that's not when they want to hoover you back. But the narcissist, it's interesting how they move on so quickly. So if you went through this grief process, it shows you're a genuine person. It shows that you care about people. And Darvo, yes, Fair Green Tube. I want to do a podcast with you. So you say that Darvo, which is deny, attack, reverse, and victim and offend. So I'll read how you worded it. Darvo, the denied, they attack you for asking, they reverse the blame to you, then they play the victim, and lastly, they get offended if you try to hold them accountable. And thank you, Sorrows King. Thank you. Sorrows King. Thank you. You made my day. Give me compliments. I appreciate it. But yeah, they don't want to be held accountable because in a sense, they came from a childhood that either they were overindulged or they were neglected. So they don't want they either need or don't want. They either need you to be their parent and take care of them and boost their ego, or it's late. I'm tired. So, or they need you. They don't want to be held accountable. They don't want you to parent them because they're trying to break free from that. They're trying to be, because they are adults, they're trying to break into adulthood. They're stunted and they are floundering. They will take everything out on you. They're taking their pains out on you instead of fulfilling themselves from within. And I see this with a lot of people, whether you're a narcissist or not, that, it's easier to put the blame on someone else, that we have to take accountability for our actions, that what did we do wrong? We should have upheld our boundaries. And, sometimes we lose people over that. And that's hard. It's hard because, a lot of us kind of sacrificed those boundaries because we love the person, but that's taking away from who we are. It's diminishing who we are. And when we do that, we lose ourselves. And, I was thinking too about it was like locking my house or trying to protect myself. So if I'm, let's say, in a good neighborhood, I might just, close my door, nice and safe. Let's say it was back in the day, but just closing your door, people will respect that. You can go to bed, you can feel safe. But if you're in a more unsafe area, you have to protect yourself more. So maybe you need the deadbolt and the chain lock. And then maybe if it's a really bad situation, you're going to need bulletproof windows or bars on your doors. So the more unsafe something is, to protect your safety, your ability to sleep at night, your sanity, you're going to need to have more protective measures. And so with the narcissist, we don't know how dangerous it is. And we're trying to, because it changes for one thing. So you don't know what your environment is in this relationship. So you start walking on eggshells, you start shutting down, you start sometimes, kind of talking about them. You're trying to find answers. And I've learned that you should really talk with the person, whoever the person is that you should be able to say, hey, this is bothering me, or what is it you need, as opposed to trying to get your answers from the outside source, because the outside source doesn't know what's in that person's mind. They can give you great advice, but it might not necessarily relate to that person. If you guys have dealt with narcissists, you can talk to your friends. If they have not dealt with narcissistic abuse, they're not going to understand it, and their advice will be off center. Be careful. I'm a religious person, but if you go to the church, that do they understand the narcissism, or are they just trying to maintain the marriage? Because if they say just love them more, just do this, do that, it's not what the narcissist needs. They need to act out. They need to throw their little fits and all that kind of stuff. Depends on who they are. Each one's different. And that's why I want to open this up. I'm trying to do more lives for you guys so we can get some real-time interaction to help you with your situation in real time, because getting those answers as much as we can make a difference. If you guys can tell me, have you been searching YouTube or Facebook, TikTok for those answers? We have to try to limit it a little bit to where you don't want to just be stuck, that we take the advice and also give our time to ourselves, where we live little bit of the life, even if it's taking a bubble bath or going for a walk or just making your bed sometimes. That every little step we can do to better our lives, because it is okay to be depressed. It is okay to let a couple things go, but we have to understand, what are we bringing in to a new relationship, that we have to take the steps to get back in order. Do we have a clean house? Do we have clean hygiene? Do we have our goals? Or are we just letting ourselves go? It's okay to do that for a little bit. But Fair Green Tube says, I agree. You have to confide in someone that has been through it. It's very confusing to get advice from someone who may be an enabler. Good point. It could set you back in your healing journey. Yes, there are enablers. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because the enabler, he's just stressed, just let him drink, it's okay. He probably didn't mean to yell at you, and he pushed you because he was frustrated. It's like, no, that is not okay. And, if you have a healthier person, you can say, look, I know you're stressed. I'm here for you. And we have to give people their space that they ask for it, but they don't communicate. They expect us to know what they need. And there are a lot of enablers. A lot of us, by not allowing our boundaries to stick, we kind of enable this. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because a lot of us really did love our person. And the narcissist, it's really interesting with the mirroring and what they end up seeing. In the beginning, you saw yourself because you were expressing yourself and you were feeling good and you were able to love someone and you got creative and you did all these things and you were living life. And then the narcissist didn't connect with you. They saw little flaws. Nobody's perfect, but they felt they have to be perfect. So if you're not perfect, it's a reflection on them. And when I say they see flaws in you, they're not necessarily flaws. Maybe you work out too much. Is that really a flaw? But they can see it, or they need your time. I'm 6'1". Is it a flaw to be 6'1"? No, but when they're right at your height, they start seeing the flaws in what they feel they should be. They should be taller than the girl, or whatever it is. It's not my fault I'm tall. It doesn't change who I am, doesn't change how much I love, but they start picking apart little things. And that's due to insecurities or societal pressures. And we have to realize that, some things we can't change. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, that you're beautiful in your own way. And if somebody really loves you, they can accept you. And we have to be careful too. Like if you are really uncomfortable with someone who, let's say you're 5'5" and I'm 6'1". If that makes you too uncomfortable and you can't get over it, don't start a relationship. That we have to know it's okay sometimes, we should be kind to everybody, but it doesn't mean that everybody's supposed to be our mate. So I have people trying to guilt me into being their mate. And it's like, no, it's just not what I want. And that is okay. I'm not going to be guilted into changing what I feel. Yes, I am model height, but this is a crazy thing, Stacy. You're joining us again. I remember your name. I am model height, but I'm too tall for like J.C. Penney's and Myers. My daughter modeled for Myers, but I'm too tall because they want 3 girls or whatever, where they're like, oh, look at my outfit. The other one's doing a different pose. So I'm good for runway, but a lot of the clothes don't fit me because I'm too tall. Isn't that crazy? So like lingerie or bikinis or things like that, I'd be fine for. But even wedding dresses, I've done some, but a lot of them are too short. And I would slay runway. Thank you. I'll have to do I have done some modeling. This is a crazy thing. Amy, I don't know if you remember Living Well Lady. I modeled for Living Well Lady, which is a workout place. And I modeled their pool. They were trying to show off their pool. So I'm in a bathing suit modeling their pool. And then I closed. It went out of business. Was it my fault? But yeah, so yeah, I had one too, though. Talking about modeling, I had a portfolio that was in my car. Crazy story about what crazy people are out there. In 7th grade, there was this crazy guy who called a friend of mine. I think she met him, or somehow she got connected with him, and he was just crazy. He was terrible to young girls. Horrible. He was an adult and he was dealing with young girls. And so she didn't know. She's only 12 years old. And she's like, oh, talk to Cindy. Cindy will talk to anybody. Because I was, going to church all the time, wanted to help everybody, save the world. And so I was talking to him and trying to connect with him, because sometimes when you don't connect with someone, they don't want to talk to you. But he torched my car, torched my portfolio. And so I only have like 2 pictures of me modeling, which is kind of sad. But so I've had my fair share. I ended up trying to, after I was 19 or 20. So for 7 years, I tried helping this person, tried setting it up with the cops. I'm like, he's doing some terrible things to some young girls. And finally, when the cops aren't going to help me kind of, do a little sting operation, because I was trying to help those girls, that he broke into my place, torched my car. And it was just because I told him I couldn't talk anymore. And, did I deserve that? And it was terrible. Yeah. So did he get arrested? No, because I knew him as, I'll say his name, Ron Swanson, which pretty popular name. And I never met him in person, So I wouldn't be able to identify him unless it was by voice. And my ex was a state cop, and I tried telling him, like, this is I can meet him in your jurisdiction. And they were like kind of fearful of my safety. I told him I'd wear a wire, or, I could have the cops or whatever. I was willing to do it because he was sleeping with these girls, getting these girls high. Thought it was cool to have them in high heels and short skirts, and was taking them to different, like Denny's late at night and stuff. And he got a kick out of getting people fired, and was just like terrorizing the neighborhood. And so I got a call. I can't prove it was him, but I know it was him because of the timing. And for one thing, it was late at night. And that's another, there are people who will be up late at night, but he kind of fit who was up late at night. And so my parents got this phone call, and they were trying to find out information from my parents. And they said that it was Ford credit calling. And my dad's like, yeah, you're behind on your loan. And I'm like, Dad, you gave me the car. There is no loan on that car. And he's like, oh yeah. So it was like they were trying to get information, trying to ask if I lived in this certain place. And my dad said, how'd you get this number? And he said, off of these sexy pictures that were in this vehicle. I had my portfolio in my car, but the number was not my parents' number. The number was to the agency. So, he's giving all these lies. And when you're from the outside, my dad didn't know what was on the back of those pictures. And it kind of made sense to my dad. They're her pictures. Maybe she has her phone number on it. She has that car. And, sometimes in the middle of the night, you're not going to be like, wait, who took the loan out? Because he's got more than one kid. It's extremely scary because they were in my house. My ex called. It was late at night. We were talking about meeting up, but we were both too tired. And so this guy who was, thinking it was cool to be out of shape, it's stupid to exercise, stupid to work, stupid to do what you're supposed to do. And so all my workout tapes were thrown all over my living room, kind of like a jab, like, yeah, I know you work out. So my ex called and I was upstairs. I had a fan going because I need silence. So I decided to use a white noise. My roommate was home and she had her TV on because she needs to go to sleep to a TV. So we both have these sounds going, and they were in, this is my take, is they went through the glass door. And they started, they stole, I had some fur coats. I don't wear fur anymore, but I had some fur coats, leather jackets, and which kind of fits what he would want the girls to wear. And they took all my roommates, unopened alcohol. And then they started, I had this really cool laser show. It was so cool. It would bebop and lasers all over, going to the music. But back then we had the entertainment center. So I had my VCR through there. My TV and the laser show. I had all these cords that got tangled, and you can see they were trying to pull them out. And that's when I think my ex called and scared him away. But they took my roommate's cat and put that in the car and torched it with my car. They took luckily I took most of my money out of, I had just worked and I put most of the money away, but I still had like $200 in my purse that he got. And stole my roommate's purse too. He took all of it. He took like all the coats and stuff, and he would have taken more. He took the money. He took the alcohol. He didn't take the unopened. Yeah. And because I get a call in the morning. It happened on Good Friday. And I get a call saying, my dad's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I was sleeping all night. I drove home. It was like it must have been about 3 in the morning because I worked at a bar like an hour away. So 3 o'clock, stayed up for a little bit. It was about 3:30, talked to my ex, and then went to bed. So from 3:30 to like 8 or 9 in the morning. So he must have been waiting. I don't even know, but they broke into my place, and the cops thought it was like an insurance scam because the day before I motivated myself and I'm like, no, you got to do this. You got to get your tires changed. So I just bought brand new tires, got an oil change. And so they thought it was an insurance scam until they found out I had PLPD and I got nothing out of it. So yeah, we definitely don't want to set ourselves back in the healing journey. We also have to be cautious. We can't save everybody. Like I gave every opportunity for this guy to change, to kind of see different ways. And he just wanted to be cool. He just wanted to be cool and fuck everybody over, and just got an adrenaline rush out of it and got the kick out of the young girls. And he sounded slimy. He sounded unclean. He sounded slobby. Yeah, it was really sad. I tried to help. And then I tried to get the cops involved because it's like 7 years and he's not changing. Both of your ex-husbands. That's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there like that. Fair Green Troop says, I've often wondered why the education system addresses nutrition, physical education, and or gym in schools, but they aren't enforced curriculum addressing mental health classes. It is so important. So I will tell you this. I am a teacher, 5 endorsements in health, psychology, English as a second language, and physical education. I think those are plus elementary. I teach it at high school. And so I taught moral focus at a charter school, and it was really interesting that I had to stick to a curriculum for that school. But they start out with a different, like wisdom, perseverance, and all these different steps that you should, mindfulness, all this. And it was crazy that the kids just couldn't get the concept. What is wisdom? And I would go, that was the whole topic. I spent all month teaching what wisdom is. I taught all month teaching what is perseverance. And so the charter school did do that. And then they ended up dropping that. But as far as mental health and communicating with other people and all that kind of stuff, no, they don't. And as far as, like I said, I was a gym teacher. We have some state standards, but we also have a lot of limitations on what we can teach as far as, sexual health, reproduction, or even just menstruation, all those kind of things. And, with puberty, you start going through different emotions too. Or also, if you don't know what's going on, it can be kind of scary. Like, am I different for this happening? Or if you're a girl, like that can be quite scary if you don't expect that or know what's going to happen. So I got Felicia D. I was just talking about the Lady Capitals. How are you today? Good to have you. What's been going on with you? You've been looking great. I see all you guys. That's fantastic. So do you know a lot about natural healing and home remedies? Natural healing, sunlight. So I will get to that in 1 second because that is an important one. But I want to finish up on the education system that there should be curriculum on it, coping skills, and there's a lot of stressors. They don't have the coping skills that they need. They don't have the interpersonal relationships. And I definitely think they should have that. But as far as nutrition, you got to understand, you eat a lot of sugar, you're going to have those sugar crashes and you're going to go through a cycle. Now, it's really interesting. I was kind of addicted to M&Ms or double chocolate donuts for a long time. I would have 2 packs of M&Ms a day. And I started realizing it was like so expensive by the end of the year, like $2,000 for my M&M addiction. But I also went through that double chocolate donut stage. And, that's not necessarily the healthiest. It'll get you by for a little bit and then you crash. And, if you can wean yourself off of that, I don't crave any, I don't want sweets anymore. Also, salty foods, if you start weaning yourself off of that, you're going to be able to stay a little healthier. Now, I eat a lot of salt, because I have low blood pressure and I may have Addison's. I don't know. That's where you crave salt. So I kind of need extra salt, but there are times our body tells us what it needs, but also it's interesting how sometimes you crave what you're allergic to. So if you're eating too much of something, you might want to get to the root cause of it. And, if you start weaning yourself off of the sweets or the need for the high salt, you're going to start enjoying the actual flavors of like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize carrots tasted so good, that you're going to start enjoying the healthy things. And Nancy's here. Hi, Nancy. You say, definitely agree. All addictions come with a price. That is true. Yes. Even Stacy Spacey says, I drink a lot of water. I need to drink more water. I guess I'm a tall glass of water with, I do drink like this, I drink, this is diet green tea. I try not to drink anything with calories. I'd rather eat my calories. That's just me. But like coffee, no calories, right? but it has the caffeine in it. And I went through a stage. This is when I was drinking Diet Pepsi, which isn't very healthy for you. But I went through a stage where I'm waking up at like 3:34 in the morning. I actually got dressed, went into my car, drove. It was only a mile and a half, but I drove to 7-Eleven for a Diet Pepsi because I got those extreme migraines from those caffeine withdrawals. So that's good that you drink a lot of water. There everything needs to be in moderation. You can actually drink too much. I've heard of a couple deaths from drinking too much water, which is sad. So we have to also know what is healthy. Soda and coffee just kill your stomach. Yeah. And what kills my stomach are Pop-Tarts. What is up with Pop-Tarts? I can eat, if I eat one Pop-Tart, usually still hungry. I try not to, eat that. But if I have two or whatever, you'd think I'd be full for a while. But within a half hour, 20 minutes to a half hour, I feel like I got punched in the stomach. I like Pop-Tarts, not that much, but I like them. But I don't eat them because, for one thing, it makes me super hungry. Our bodies are all different. It's interesting how certain things will upset your stomach and not other people. Maybe because they are processed. Could definitely be processed food. I've noticed, and this isn't trying to sound perverted. It was really interesting. Just chest size. Now I have like an A cup. And when I was growing up, most girls didn't have large chests, but there was a couple girls. But usually everybody had like A's or B's or whatever. And then like my daughter's age, almost everybody has like C or larger. So boys are also, their penis is shrinking. When I was growing up, the average was 5 inches and 3/4. Now, the last generation I studied was like 5 1/4, might even be 5 inches now. So it has something to do with the hormones, which are changing our bodies. Justin says, just good be ruined my son's life. I survived. Just Gooby. What do you mean by just Gooby? Like good? Or I'm not sure what you mean by Gooby. Let me know what that means. But yeah, processed foods definitely are different. Also, the waters that we have, we're starting to get plastic particulates. So, it's almost like a losing battle, but don't give up. And then be careful on, spending that extra money on organic. I know some people have gone all organic. It's helped with autistic tendencies to where it has helped. So know where your organic stuff comes from, because sometimes it's not. Just Gooby used to be my NASM certified fitness trainer. He gave me awful advice and is under investigation. Oh, I'll have to research that more. Oh, what did he do with your son's life? Was he into any steroids or? Oh, I got to look that up. I didn't realize that was a name you were telling me. I thought you were like just groovy, something kind of like that. Stacy Spacey says, I'm really trying to go natural healing way rather than doctors. True. And I did, my cousin or my nephew, it's kind of interesting. He's going towards, I believe it's his doctorate in like holistic type medicine. And there's a video that I did on ketamine. So I don't know if I would try that, like mushrooms or whatever. So I've done, I believe, 2 podcasts with him. I'll try to bring him on. I'm giving him some time to do a little bit more studying. But some people can have bad trips on it. And some people bring back memories they don't want. So if you guys have been viewers of mine, you know that I'm a burn victim, and our mind is fascinating. So it happened at my 5th birthday party. I was 5 years old. I walk up to the barbecue explodes. And so I remember walking up, and then I remember being that was in the backyard. And then I'm in the front yard in a pink and white towel waiting for the ambulance. So there's this portion where I don't remember the explosion, my dress catching on fire, my hair. I guess I ran away. They tackled me. They were rolling me out, hit my head against a tree because they were trying to roll me out. Stop, drop, and roll, don't run. You're going to the podiatrist on Thursday. Yes, I remember those days. I had so many broken bones, but you'll feel better going. And sometimes too, just our stature can make a difference. So can a brain scan be ordered in some kind of way? Partner of a child. Just Gooby is not somebody you can trust. John is his legal name. I hope NASM removes his certification. He should, I think you say he should not be allowed to train anyone. He fears the destructor. He gave awful advice. Can you get a brain scan? Yeah, they're like, I think like over $2,000. So, it's really hard to get one ordered through insurance because they are expensive. What is her name? Just Spooky or Spooky Boo. I think her name's Spooky Boo. She's a TikToker, I think. I watch so many different things. Maybe she's on YouTube, but she does those sleepwalking videos or whatever. But she did one. I think it was like $2,200 or something. She lives in Canada. I'm in the United States. I'd like to get a brain scan just to kind of see what's going on in there, to where she could see she had some problem back at the base of her neck that was causing her problems. But I've had an EEG before. I used to pass out a lot. Which is the electroencephalogram, where they put little probes to see. Thank you so much. Love, beautiful lady. Lots of love to you too. So are you thinking there was some brain damage that was done? What was it that caused the brain damage that you're curious about? Sometimes drugs can do that, overheating. Maybe they worked him too hard, not enough hydration, or even just the different foods. Thank you for being kind. People think I'm crazy. Just Gooby, he is a criminal though. We need to protect the young people from Gooby. And I'll tell you what, guys, I don't think you're crazy. I know there's so many stories out there where people think you're crazy. If you talk to me about ghosts, or if you talk to me about this, or you talk to me about whatever, that those are your experiences. And, there's some truth to it, to where, so sometimes we need to work through it. Sometimes we need validation or insight. But yeah, there are times where it's like, I see what is happening. Nobody else is seeing it. And, sometimes people prey upon victims, because you can sit there and go, well, your son shouldn't have taken that, or your son should have known. But when it's a trusted individual, and that's where, if it's your husband, you should be able to trust your husband. If it's your personal trainer that, is supposed to have certifications or at least qualifications, that we're taught to trust people. Sometimes we have to. And Robert, you're so sweet. I like you too. You like my hair. Thank you. Do I have diabetes? What made you ask about diabetes? And then I'll tell you. Why do you think I have diabetes? And then I'll tell you. I'll tell you if you tell me why. So I don't think you're crazy. And sometimes we can see what was happening. What are you hoping to see in the brain scan? And when you say partner of a child, were they dating? I'm not sure what you mean, partner of a child. Narc's brain is wired differently. An experienced narc may be able to fool the ideal, but the brain don't lie. This person would be unwilling to get one volunteering. It's really hard to get court ordered. Even, mass murderers, they're not going to be doing a brain scan. And you wish that they would, because you can see that, they can see psychopaths, sociopaths. Tell me why you think, Bryce. I'm curious, and then I'll tell you. Hi, Donald. Dick is here. Nancy, everybody, thanks so much for joining. So having a court ordered probably will not happen. Like I said, I'm in the United States. I don't know places that do that. I've been to Cooley Law School. I'm not an attorney, but I have been through that. Oh, you just sent a gift. Oh, you're so sweet. I am doing good, Donald. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love it when you guys send me gifts. It helps because, like I said, I just upgraded the internet. I'm paying $180 for internet because I'm in the middle of nowhere. I just added on $89 to my bill, so I think it's $189. And then the software and all that kind of stuff. So that does help when you guys do that. But I thought you meant maybe a brain scan on your person. And I think the reason that they won't do it, let's say I'm a psychopath. I'm not, but let's say I am. And you do a brain scan on me because you're trying to prove I murdered someone. I can be a psychopath. Doesn't mean I murdered that person. So they'll see that as irrelevant, that it's not indicative of the action that happened. It's like extraneous information. And for that kind of dollar amount, they won't do that. I am doing good. I am doing good. And thank you for all the followers. But there are differences. Unfit parenting. Okay. Oh, what's that sound? Oh, thank you. I'm 50% towards my goal. You're awesome. Thank you for the rose. This is so exciting. I'm new to doing the TikTok stuff. We're doing 3 platforms right now, growing the audience. Because like I said, I want to start traveling and meeting you guys. I want to do a cruise. What do you think about that? I don't know. I might chicken out. We might meet on land. But there was one, I have it in a video where I show the little slide and his name. I can't remember his name offhand, but there's this one doctor who is studying psychopaths, and he's noticing this pattern. And so he was doing research, and he scanned his own brain. Oh, why is it? So he scanned his own brain, and he found out he himself was a psychopath. So a narcissist has a difference in the amygdala. The amygdala is responsible for, now theirs is shrunk. And when you are going through narcissistic abuse, ours swells. So, it's different. And they also have less gray matter. So there's gray and white matter in your brain. Some can be rejuvenated and others can't, but we can adapt, we can heal, because our brains are neuroplastic, to where if you think about a blind person, their ears and their sense of taste and their sense of touch is going to compensate. So there are ways that we can compensate to get back to being as whole as possible. But the unfit parenting, I don't know if you're comfortable sharing what kind of unfit parenting, because there are differences in what people feel is fit and unfit. There are some leniencies. They do have certain rules, let's say spanking, that you can't leave bruises, but you can leave a red mark, or depends on where you are. There's all different rules. And, or they might see the bruise as, a narcissist can push that away as, oh, they tripped. I had nothing to do with it. Little things like that. It's real hard. And hopefully the kids just going to get through it. I believe that the unconscious mindset controls 95% of actions. This is Fair Green speaking. While the conscious mindset controls about 5% of actions. That's why it's so hard to break bad habits. The brain responds to repetition. And you got a great point, is a lot of what's going on with us is subconscious or unconscious. There is stuff in the unconscious. So we have these different triggers or these different mind banks. Some of us with our routine, we just get up and we do whatever we're supposed to do. Have you guys ever oh, I already brushed my teeth. Oh my gosh, I forgot. How'd that happen? But you remember oh, and sometimes you kind of just routinely do things. Also, the way that we speak, especially if you've been through narcissistic abuse, you will speak different because you've trained yourself over time to look at all aspects and try to troubleshoot, kind of ward off any little attack that's going to come. So you try to cover all these bases. You start to become hyper vigilant on things. But it was really interesting when I was with my ex. I would always say, we're supposed to get married in September. Why did I say supposed to? Why didn't I say we are? Was there something uncomfortable to where I kind of foresee it? And then we did, why did I say supposed to? And then you also think about self-fulfilling prophecy. Did that partially play a factor in it? That I don't know. But, and as far as, was he just negligent, or was it narcissistic? because there is a difference of somebody being negligent and somebody being narcissistic, to where, it is self-fulfilling sometimes, where they think that they can do something. And there is something to that, because a lot of what we do is subconscious or unconscious. And the things that we talk about, the things that we say, why we say what we say, why we interpret certain things. Let's say you said I was beautiful. Okay. So that's a compliment, right? So depending on my past, I could be like, do they really mean that? Or I could be like, yeah, you're trying to get something from me. Or I'm like, geez, I'm sick of hearing it. Or I think you're hitting on me. Or it's like, you're just saying certain words, but my perception of myself is going to be how I interpret it. And it's really interesting how our past has so much to do with how we interpret the world around us and how I'm going to respond to you. Is it Bryce's birthday? On my YouTube, I was singing to you guys. You guys are supposed to tell me, oh, I'm going on low battery. Uh-oh, dang it. So let me see if I can save this. Hold on, guys. I'm going to switch my little cord. These little stands are crazy. So is it your birthday? Happy birthday to you. But I was doing little candles for you guys. I couldn't. Oh, did it? Oh, what happened? Oh, it disappeared. I saved it. I plugged it in and it died. This phone drives me crazy. Is it your birthday? A child is seen by a doctor in preparation. Resume. Good. Okay. We saved it. Let's bring our people back. This phone is so touchy. I think I got to clear it out. Why is it interrupted? It won't touch. A child, it won't do. So frustrating. These little touch screens. I'm hitting. There we go. Okay. So a child is seen by a doctor in preparation for grade school. The little girl is diagnosed as autistic and is going down a road of special needs education. So Real Deal Prime said that. Okay, so knowing it's not the child's fault, but the environment. Now, do you believe that the child is not autistic and you're upset that they're needing special education? If you can let me understand that a little bit better. Because like I said, I do teach in school. I also went to nursing school. Like you guys will end up seeing, I have a lot of education. So fatty, I'll call you that. So happy birthday, Bryce. How old are you today? You want to share that? What is going on? Request, share. What happened? No. Okay. No, I'm okay. Oh, what happened? I switched it around. Oh no, how do I do this? I don't know how to flip it. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, there we go. You can see my kitchen. There we go. Back on. So when you're under the roof of a raging lunatic, it has its effects. It definitely does. And we got to be careful that it either doesn't cut us down, lower our self-esteem, or cause us to have kind of some paranoia. Sometimes it's true, but we start becoming hyper vigilant. Nobody told me, why'd you think I was diabetic? Because I ate all that sugar. But I'm interested. I'd like to help you, but I'm not sure. When you say that the child is seen by a doctor and being diagnosed autistic, if that's bothering you, if you feel that that's a not an accurate diagnosis, and autism is definitely on the rise. I've talked about it a lot of times, where I used to travel back and forth across Michigan, and there was this billboard and a couple billboards where it was like one in 169 or 165 people have autism. And that was like 100, 1 in 140 and 1 in 99 and 1 in 67. And it's like somewhere around 1 in 60 have autism now, to where I saw the change over just a couple of years, where it's almost like, is autism the new normal? They do have a different way of handling things. And some of them are brilliant, though. Being a chain breaker and projecting one's DNA is key for me at this point of my life. Yeah, sometimes we have to take the stand. We have to break that chain. Otherwise, you get that generational trauma. And how do we balance it? Some of you have dealt with narcissists, psychopaths, way worse than others. And there are some, like I said, I'm still waiting on the trial of my friend who was shot and killed by her husband. I haven't been through that kind of abuse, but, I've even said, I'm a victim, I've been raped before, but the emotional abuse was way harder on me. So physical versus emotional, that, we all handle it differently. But there's a lot. Fair Green Tube, that life is crazy. Life is crazy, but we're survivors, and sometimes sharing our story can help others. There's always a reason in it. Sometimes this is the hardest part, though, is there are times that you try to protect yourself, and you think you're safe and you're not, and that's when it's really frustrating. I have videos on why do bad things happen to good people. There are lessons that we can learn from this, and it's a hard lesson to learn. It's not always fair. I kind of think, in college, I just wanted to learn about psychology, or I just wanted to learn about nursing. I didn't want to learn about history or this or that. So it's kind of like the extra classes of life that we didn't necessarily want to sign up for, but we're going to become better people in the end. Very true. Sharing releases the trauma because it ends the isolation. Thank you, Fair Green Tube. A lot of us have been isolated. Our narcissism, they like to isolate. Also, sometimes when we get down or depressed, we might not want to put that burden on our friends, or we feel it's interesting. Sometimes just those little looks or those little comments, we allow ourselves to become isolated because we don't want to deal with the outlash. And I've had lots of people. That's why I say, if you guys want to share your story or whatever, I welcome you guys to do a podcast with me on, Cynthia at asoulsurvivor.com, SOUL, because I've had so many of them who have been traumatized, and they do the live chat. Well, it's recorded. It's recorded, and then I uploaded. Most of the time, Holly Schaefer, we did a live chat, so you guys can interact with us. But every single one of them had said that it was very helpful. So I also do one-on-ones, because sometimes just sharing your story. And that's why I want to go live with you guys, like I said, so you can have some real-time interaction. You guys can interact with each other, so it doesn't feel so lonely. Because like you were saying, a lot of times when we're talking to people, they don't understand it. They start thinking, well, yeah, you are crazy, or why did you stay? Or, how could you not see that? And they don't understand the future faking and all the fake promises and the gaslighting and the blame shifting and, the brain fog that starts to set in. The longer you're with someone, the more brain damage that's going to happen. So you have to realize, is it worth saving this relationship? And I am pro marriage. I am pro stick it out till death do us part, but not when they're breaking the contract. Because I am religious, and I think, you make a vow, at least from my perspective, to my God. I don't want to break that vow, but I do not believe God signed you up for abuse. if that makes sense. So you say, Real Deal Prime says, vulnerable narc. I had to be careful as they are masters of seeking and baiting for reactive abuse. And when you don't give it, they'll bait you in family affair. Wally, hi. I'll answer that in 1 second. So, if you don't take their bait, yes, I am definitely a free spirit. I am a free spirit. Conservative free spirit. Does that make sense? So it's weird. I have a friend who is with the worst narcissist I met. And just out of the blue, they like attack you. And it's so undeserved, so out of the blue. And oh my gosh, it's vicious. And yeah, he's a vulnerable one too. People can flip flop between overt and covert. Covert is where it's like covered, hidden. Overt, I think over the top, where they're just spewing the narcissism. But you asked me what percentage of people would I say are narcs? And Wally, I have been researching that. 90%. No. According to research, wherever you look, it's like 1 to 5%. If you listen to Dr. Ramani, she says 1 in 5 people, which is 20%. You even hear her say up to 25%. I did some research on dismissive avoidance. I want to get deeper into that, but today it said 2.5% of the population. And we have to remember there's narcissists. So it could, I think I would, yeah, it's high and it's growing, but I would like to know who are the unsafe people, because, dismissive avoidance, 2.5%, let's even say 1%. And then you get your, all these other mental illnesses. All mental illnesses are not necessarily vicious towards people. But my guess is, and I'd like you to tell me what you think. I think it could be like 20%. It might even be up to 40, the way that, and this is the thing. I think some people are narcissistic to 3/4 of the people. It could be. Ron says 75%. It's getting up there. And we have to be careful too with how things are changing. Everybody's like, if they mess up, just walk away. So we're creating narcissists. We do have boundaries, but they're teaching people to get rid of the empathy. Just ghost them, just block them, just this, just that. And so we're going to damage people more. Hi, Heather. So we don't want to do that. That even I still feel, don't get your revenge on them. Give them their closure. Stick to your boundaries, but don't create narcissism in yourself to where you don't give a shit about the person just because they hurt you, because that's going to make them worse. And they're in our society and we have to live with them. Real Deal says, abuse holds no gender. Patterns learned by the father can be passed down to their daughters. And vice versa. Yeah, exactly. Fair Green Tube says, once you become familiar enough to recognize the red flags, they stick out like sore thumbs. I always advise people to stick to your core values. And if you don't feel like they share those values, that's perfectly said, because, our core values are what's important. That's where we're going to find our people. Just got to get the people caring again, says Ron, because we're creating a society of people saying, I don't give a fuck. You mess up one time, I'm going to block you. I see people on these like dating advice things, the high value woman, where they're like, nope, wouldn't give him another chance. And he's only taking you to this. And, if you're not comfortable going to like a Waffle House, but is that all they can afford? And is that where they're going to be stuck financially for the rest of their lives? And is money what's important? And blah, 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 all this stuff. But everybody's like, nope, not worth it. To where, people are going to start to feel that they're not worth it. So Real Deal says insulated, yelled and hit if you were to have an option or didn't see something her way. That's one of the tests, is to tell them no and see the reaction. It's okay if they get a little sad about it, but if they lash out, scream, leave you, all those kind of things. Ron says that's because people don't know how to talk to each other anymore. And I was just saying that, yeah, and it's getting worse. We have a whole generation of people who were affected by COVID during their formative years, and also some people still recovering financially, which has bigger stressors and coping mechanisms. And, a lot of people started drinking during COVID. So Wally says, I think the NPD numbers might be accurate. And as far as what? Because you think it's only 1%? Or are you saying, Dr. Romney, 20 to 25%? And yeah, it happens before you can blink. They go off the handle. Wally says, but a more broad definition of narcissism would mean much higher. I want to do some research on borderline and NPD. I've talked about like the feminine and the masculine. I'll get into that once I catch up. But it's higher. It's higher than 1%, because narcissists don't go to therapy. They don't get diagnosed. And if they do go to therapy, it can be to find out how to manipulate, or it can be, to lie. And so they might not get diagnosed. Fair Green says it's difficult to place a percentage on narcissism because there you go. They typically don't. I was just talking about that. Don't volunteer any type of therapy. They truly believe there is nothing wrong with them and their behavior patterns, and they're great at getting people to see their way. They're schmoozers. Wally says if it's 75%, then that means narcissism is our baseline at this point. Yeah, I don't think it's reached that yet, but it's getting there. It's getting there. I don't think it's 75%. We all have narcissism. So Ron says that's because people don't know how to talk to each other anymore. Perfectly said. We don't know how to cope with it, because also we're changing roles. How do now we have hello legend, to where what's the husband's role? What's the female role? Are we putting too much pressure on the females to work and take care of the kids? Or is a man, well, all that kind of stuff. When you see the gender transitioning type stuff and the balance in society, who is supposed to do anything, whose job is what? So everything is all haphazard. And the women empowerment, some of it's good, some of it's bad, to where, we want to be independent, but then we also want somebody to rely on. And which one is it? And it's confusing. Fair Green says, I agree, Wally, sadly, but I have to say I see it. And Wally says to Fair Green, I see elements of it, but not full blown in 3/4 of people. And I can see why people might think that. So, there are times that people will have, a bad season in their life. And, when you've dealt with narcissistic abuse, sometimes you do become needy, and we have to realize that. I see a lot of YouTubers or whatever saying, your narcissist will lash out saying you're too needy. And, there are times, just like, when I broke my leg and my arm, I was in a wheelchair. I was needy. Plain and simple. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. But emotionally, sometimes we get needy and we start blowing people off, or we start getting short with them. That's kind of narcissistic, because we need to deal with ourselves. And that's why it's important to heal, so you don't ruin your other relationships. Also, being with a narcissist, sometimes you pick up their traits. Now you're lying to people because of embarrassment or trying to maintain the peace. So it escalates. And Fairgreen says, I agree, Wally. I notice the younger generation is exposed to who has more than them, and it creates an entitlement mentality. And unfortunately, they bring it into adulthood. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And kids can be extremely mean. And we're not taught to teach boundaries, or I don't know. And I see something too with, connecting with emotions. Men and women, I believe, are different. There's also the masculine versus feminine, however you want to word it, but the softer side and the harder side. That if you're on the harder side, you're taught to suppress your emotions. And then you get with the softer person who is, trying to tell you got to be soft. And the hard person's like, you got to be hard. So we're supposed to complement each other. So a beautiful butterfly. And that touches my heart. Beautiful butterfly. My dad was passing away. And I had asked him if you can ever come back, if there's any way you can ever come back, how would we know it's you? And he said, I picked a symbol of a butterfly. So thank you for joining us. And Ron says sometimes you can't help those people until they're ready or want help. Yeah, they're not going to do it. They're not going to see it. They're not going to participate. So we can't force people to change. So beautiful butterfly, I love your name. If a narcissist keeps the new supply from his or her mom and the family, does that mean they are hiding that person, or if they are the new supply? How old is this narcissist? So they're hiding it from their mom. That's a female, it sounds like. Is it a female? I'm confused by your question, the way you worded it. If a narcissist keeps a new supply from his or her mom and the family, does that mean they are hiding that person, or if they are the new supply? Depends. Is there anything wrong with, like, societally wrong with that person? Are they drug addicts? Are they, maybe a different race, and the family can't accept that? Is there a reason that you see why they're hiding the person? Could be low self-esteem. I don't know how old that person is. Are they old enough to date? So I need a little more information. But a lot of times, yeah, they'll either hide the person because, they're not strong enough to say, hey, this is my person. They're from a different race, or this is my person. Whatever. I love this person. A lot of times they could be hiding. So I need to know a little bit more about exactly your story and what your question is, because they will hide their new supply. They will definitely hide their new supply because they could still be in that monkey branching state. So I don't know the interaction with that person. Are they developing a relationship, or is it just, there might be some reason between why? But the monkey branching is when they go from one relationship to another. So they haven't closed off that first relationship because they're too scared. And if you think about, like, the monkeys, how they'll hold on and they'll swing and they grab onto this, and they're not going to let go of this hand till they're secure. And then they let go and then they swing. So the narcissist is swinging relationship to relationship after they secure it, after they know. And a lot of times they just, like, ghost the other person. Wally says, I totally agree. Gen Zs scare me, and I'm a millennial, and we are horrible ourselves. I get it. Yeah. And there's also generational compensation, overcompensation. So let's say my generation, raising my kids, that these children think that my generation did something wrong. So they're going to overcompensate because some of them do want to be good parents. But then it's, like this thing, you're a baby boomer, Ron says, and I keep forgetting what I am. Isn't that terrible? I was born in the 1970s. So what am I? I keep forgetting what I am. I'm not a millennial, though. Gen X? Am I Gen X? I don't know. I think I'm right after baby boomer. I think it just made the cut. So you say the shameless materialism of the boomer generation didn't do us any favors, though. So you say it's a male. He is 43. Yeah. So kind of couple that maybe um, midlife crisis. Is this a person you've been with? And it's hard to give good advice when it's like a half story. And you say her mom, his or her. Oh, okay. So are you saying he's not introducing to either parent? I'm confused. Yes, my ex-narc hasn't let the new supply meet his mom yet. Yeah, Fair Green Tube is asking my beautiful butterfly if he's remorseful at all. How long were you guys together? And Wally says to Fair Green Tube, yeah, I feel like you are spot on saying, Fair Green says, so true, Wally. Anything that initiates envy, jealousy, also fear can motivate young people to become both covert and overt narcissistic. I've gone live for 90 minutes. It says take a break. I'm not going to. So feel free to share. Look at that. We're halfway to my goal. You guys will get to meet Dixie Do if we meet that goal. I just need 2 more roses. But thank you guys for sharing, hitting that like button. Definitely the comments help. So feel free to just say hi. Let me know where you guys are from. Get this algorithm going. So we were together for 14 years. And did he have this new supply while you guys were still together? How quickly did he move on? Sometimes they could be embarrassed or they don't want to hear anything, yeah. So sometimes they I don't know. They could have more than one person. It might not be, a secure relationship. If they're just kind of playing with the person, they're not planning a life. A lot of times they'll, introduce to parents. He's still trying to probably keep his options open. A lot of times if you're in a true relationship it's like you're excited, like, can't wait for you to meet my parents. I also don't know the parents. I don't know if the parents are difficult to deal with. And is he naturally inclined to be around the parents? There's a lot going on with that. He moved on as soon as he discarded me, maybe a week. Yeah. And that's the thing. You can kind of almost tell, I hate to say it, who the narcissist is, not a tear shed, and you've been together for 14 years. Were there any signs that a discard was coming? Sometimes we fight, sometimes we don't. Some relationships, they don't have the arguments. Not all narcissists scream and yell and punch. So it's the communication. You could think things are fine and, I'm just, he loves me so much that he's working extra hard. He took on 3 jobs and he's, has to stay away. And so you think they're doing all these things for you. So you don't see like, oh, they were cheating on me or whatever was going on. And it can be quite painful. Are you happier now that he's gone? Are you still going through the rumination and the cognitive dissonance? It can be quite painful. Man, Ron, my story. I was engaged. My daughter was 1.5. We were living together. He proposed. We were engaged for over a year. 3 weeks before the wedding, he wanted to postpone it. Couldn't tell me why. Couldn't tell me when. And so I had already had my bridal shower, sent out my invitations, and I got scared. And he said, what's it going to take to keep you here? And I said, well, and I still don't know. Should I have left? Should I have not have? But he waits 3 weeks before. And I asked him, he's like, I feel like a jerk. Is there anything you need me to do? I said, well, can you just call and cancel my or I'm supposed to have my dress fitting today. Can you just tell them, and I even told him, I don't even care if you lie. Tell him my car broke down or whatever. Can you just tell him I can't be there today? Because I did not want to call and say, oh, I don't need that dress. I'm not getting married. And he's like, he didn't want to do that. So I'll do anything for you. Just not even call. And I even gave him the out. Is it good to lie? No. But is it going to make a difference? No. But I thought it would be easier. just wanted to get it handled. And no, he didn't do that. So I was getting ready to start my college, the last 60 credits, or 30, whatever it was, last 30, last 60. And I had to stay at that college, and I was across state with no help, no job. And I got scared. I'm like, so I don't know, but no, I was engaged though. So yeah, that's traumatic though. It's like you're planning on getting married, nothing seems wrong. And then all of a sudden, and then, he moved on so quick. It's like, what's up with that? So you're happy now and you found your peace. Good. How long have you guys been apart? How long did it take? That's good. It's true. And if you guys don't want to share things, you don't have to share things you're not comfortable with. Wally says it's true that not all narcs yell and scream, but they all prevent you from catching your breath, so to speak, perfectly. And they all cause that brain damage. And Ron says, you didn't want to get married. That's okay. You save yourself. I did want to get married. Things were going good. But afterwards, you see how vicious they can be. And yeah, looking back, it probably, I don't know, just what I went through afterwards was horrendous. Because, we tried getting back together, and then I got a speeding ticket, and then he discarded me. Like, I sold everything. So we tried to work it out, but I got a speeding ticket, and then I wasn't worthwhile. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've shared my story. But Wally says, I constantly feel on edge around narcs, borderline cluster B types. I cannot find peace with them, even in superficial interactions. Yeah, some of us become pretty in tuned with it. Some of us, I'm still a little naive, but you can definitely start spotting it a little bit more. We have to be careful not to give away our trust, especially, dating or sexual interactions with people that, don't give yourself so freely. Have people invest in you and, build the trust. Don't just give it. Fair Green says, so sorry, Wally. I can empathize. I felt like I was always walking on eggshells. Yes, a lot of us can relate to that. That we all go through that. And it's interesting how so many of us go through the exact same things. And that's why I love that you guys are helping each other feel validated, that we're not crazy. Wally says to Fair Green, and you almost feel the need to tell them everything they want to hear to avoid conflict. So they're understanding everything. They understand everything. We understand nothing. And that's why we're trying to find answers all the time. And the narcissist they don't get it from our point of view at all. They sort of force a person into being sociopathic against their will. And that's where we have to be strong. I see a lot of people have been hurt, and how can I get back at them? How can I destroy them with the new supply, or cost them their job, or pop their tires, or scratch their car, or do this or that? And just stay true to yourself, because it is also your reputation. It's not worth getting in trouble over. Fair Green says, Wally, you just have to have radical acceptance. Yes, that they can only love you to a certain extent. But once they've peaked, that's it. They can't experience the love the way you can, even if they wanted to. I had one say, I don't love, like they can be self-aware to certain things. And he was like, I don't love things. I don't love the way other people love. And I don't know what that's like to be in deep love. So sometimes they will talk to you about things. Not everything they say is a lie. But Fair Green says, Wally, yes, so true. Keep it surface level, no deep conversations if you can. Avoid it. You're not dealing with fully functioning adult. You're dealing with an insecure attachment personality style. So yeah, there are times that, you can get along with them. If you walk into work today, if you work with 100, 200, 1,000 people, you're not necessarily going to know who's a narcissist, psychopath, sociopath. And you can, ask them how, is the coffee ready? and, either they tell you or they don't. But, do you want that person in your life or in your home? Also pay attention to people's pasts and patterns. Patterns are important. Do they have a new love interest every week, or are they sleeping around, or, what did they get a kick out of? Are they laughing when somebody gets hurt, or are they concerned when somebody gets hurt? Ron says, my first wife said I ruined her life and having kids made it worse, so she divorced me. How does she say you ruined her life and having kids made it worse? Some people do go through PPD, postpartum depression. That can last. It usually doesn't last all that long, but sometimes it can last quite a while. Other times too, you start, and I'm not saying that's what happened with you, Ron, but there are times that you can get into the pattern of being depressed or complaining. So you can be the kind of victim, because you get attention when you feel like you're the victim. So, Fairgreen says, yeah, surface level coffee, traffic, weather, new restaurants. That's pretty much all you can talk about with them. It gets tiring after a while. And that's why they're called energy vampires, is they do suck your energy. And Wally says, I've had almost all of my narc experience in platonic, non-sexual relationships, oddly enough. So I've had the ability to bail out without having to radically accept them. Wally says to Fairgreen, that's good advice, though. Yeah, so, all relationships should start out platonic, to where you build the trust. That's just my advice. Take it or leave it. We can get those quick fixes, those one night stands, but a lot of times, many people, not all, but many people end up feeling worse afterwards. We're trying to fill a void, and we shouldn't use other people to do that, even if it is just a quick fix. Also be careful with like drugs and alcohol. And when you're vulnerable too, you can be preyed upon more. So we have to really think about the things that we're doing in that time. Ron says she couldn't do all the things she wanted to do. Okay, so she just wanted to be free and just play and not be a mom or a wife. Some people have a hard time with that. Some people don't want to grow up. They have a hard time with responsibility. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can see that in a pattern with their work schedules. Some people are still trying to find the way. Other people are just wanting to be children, not grow up, or they don't handle work situations. So they mouth off and get fired or walk off the job. But you say, Wally says, I've had some bad luck with friends. And are you noticing a pattern? Are they taking money from us? Maybe we shouldn't be lending out money. There are certain things, there's a lesson. What kind of lesson can we learn from that? And then she got married again and had 3 more kids. A lot of times they'll do that. They will say, this is what I hate, and then go do it anyways. And that hurts, and it's confusing. So, that's why they just live in the moment. They just say whatever works. They don't think deeply into these things. And they're sometimes people pleasers too, to where they'll do what they need to do to get what they want to get. So be interesting to know if that guy was, richer or more socially affluent or bigger social circle. A lot of times it's not that the person's better or a better connection. It's just some little something, and we can't kick ourselves for that. Just be yourself. But Wally's had bad luck with friends. Yeah, we got to be careful with that. Fairgreen says deep conversations like you're sharing right now gives you energy. And like you said, energy vampires drain your energy with limited resources and conversations. Sometimes too, they don't even want to hear what you have to say. You can share your story, and then they'll just, it's like an exchange of energy. Like if I say hi to you, hopefully that for friends, hopefully that makes you feel good. that I addressed you, and then you say hi back. So we both gave each other an exchange of energy, but a lot of times they don't return it. Also, the way they text, or it's not reliable. So you get, so you say, yes, I have noticed a pattern that I attract people that realize they can walk all over me. Not exclusively, but narcs tend to notice I'm not always willing to establish boundaries. And that's our lesson right there. It's sad that we have to have boundaries. Wouldn't it be nice to just be friends with everybody and, come over? If you need some money, go ahead and take it. Just put it back when you're, get paid, and be really nice if we all had each other's backs, but it's not like that. Fair Green says, thank you, Wally. I'm glad you pointed that out. It can affect your family, friends, colleagues, romantic partners, and even acquaintances sometimes. Wally says to Fair Green, yeah, but I think dealing with a narc in a romantic situation is probably doubly painful. We were vulnerable with somebody. We trusted them, we trust them, are you going to treat me like gently, even if you get freaky? There is a certain amount where you don't want to hurt each other, and reasonable. And then with diseases, or pregnancy, or emotional connection, if you had an agreement, like I get emotionally invested, I don't want to worry about jealousy or this or that this is our space, our commitment, and then they break that. And we got more people joining us. We're still halfway there to the goal. You guys, where's my Dixie Doo? She's so funny. When she's ready to go to bed, she walks by the bed. So it can be extremely painful because it's a deeper level. It is the next step. So now you got those 2 steps, and that's painful. Also, there's other people that become involved. Fair Green says, Wally, don't force yourself to answer questions you're not. Yeah, definitely. You do not have to answer questions you're not comfortable with. You're allowed to give them a look with no words. They're going out of their way to make you uncomfortable. Sometimes they pressure. They don't have the empathy. And it's different too, because there are times that we mess up too. But it's like a lot of times you feel your people out, and if it's okay for them to share certain things, it's kind of unspoken that it's like a 2-way street, and it's not like that. We think we have a connection with somebody, that we should be able to communicate through things, and it happens. That's why when people are like, is it going to work out with the new supply? There's cracks all over that relationship. Even if it seems rock solid, it's not going to last. It takes time to, just think about, COVID or the flu or whatever. You get that one little virus in you. It takes a while. It takes a while to fester. And that's kind of the same with the narcissistic virus. In a sense, it's not really a virus, but it's destructive. Wally says, it's just such a foreign concept to me to want to upset people and engage in chaotic interactions constantly. I don't know how to avoid getting a brain hemorrhage living this way. And some of us, you guys, thank you for that love. I appreciate that. Hit that like button for me, share this, and help grow the channel. But so I wanted to address that is how they do it. It's sometimes they don't necessarily want to consciously hurt you, but subconsciously they want to put you in your place, or they want to feel better. So it's almost like, since they don't have the empathy, like let's say I'm hungry, that I'm going to eat as much as I want or need to. But if I had empathy, I'd be like, oh, there's only so much and I need to share. They don't take it to the outside level. They just take it here. So is me eating, is that narcissistic? No, that's fulfilling a need. And that was a bad way to word it. Is that not narcissistic? Because it is. But is it trying to hurt someone? If you recognize somebody else is in the vicinity, then it's crappy not to feed them, not to share. but they're so honed in on who they are that's why when we talk about like that really hurt me, they're like, what are you talking about? Because they're honed in here. They're not extending it out. That empathy extends it. They're here. They don't see what we're talking about. And when you explain it, they're like, what? So you recently just watched, as a third party, the most narcissistic person I have ever met flip out on someone. It was an incredible sight to behold, even with 2 decades of exposure to this topic. And yeah, some of them are crazy, terrible to people, like mind-blowing. Ron says, so we got a divorce. She says she would have time for me when she retires. And that's after the divorce. That's interesting. So she still wants to see you. She said, did she say that after and or during the divorce? When was that she said that? That's an odd, and sometimes they say odd things too, like where is this coming from? Before. Okay. So she wanted to be married and be with you, but then she'd give you time after she retired, is how I'm taking that. And, that's why living in the present, like we have to realize, our children are only young for a certain amount of time, or our marriage needs, care. You can't just put people on a shelf. And that brings up the topic of shelving. They shelve their supply. They'll take it out when they need it. I'm sure if she needed something done, or if she needed cuddles, or if she needed you to take care of the kids, or if she needed a ride somewhere, that she expected you to be there. But if you're like, hey, look, it's Friday night, we're done with work, can you just cuddle and relax with me? Sometimes it gets hard with kids though. So I'm sorry. You still love women though. There are women that rock. There are some good women out there. They're constantly laying out bait. Their stamina is almost admirable. Ha ha ha. Wally says, yeah, their stamina, they sometimes don't give up. And it's like, geez, are they ever going to get tired of this? Like, stop. They will go and go and go. It's an adrenaline rush. And adrenaline keeps us going. It's meant to help us survive. And you got to remember, they're in survival mode. Unfortunately, they're in the attack mode too. Or they'll discard, or they'll leave. But they don't stay to work it out. They often come back and pretend like nothing happened. And sometimes they'll put the blame on you, or just expect you to just deal with it. I just walked out and, if you did that, that would be a whole different story. It's a double standard. If they flip out on you, Fairgreen says, you will know it has absolutely nothing to do with you. It is them demanding to get their way. It's literally a child throwing a temper tantrum. It's not your job to change anyone, but is your job to protect yourself with healthy boundaries, to protect your sanity. And that's what we got to learn, and it is a tantrum. Ron saying, so any female out. Arizona saying hello. There you go. Yeah. But yeah, we can't change them. And sometimes you're like, it's so easy. Like, just talk to me. I'm willing to give you what you want, or we can work through this, or I'm just asking for so little. I will give you the world, just, but we also have to not accept breadcrumbs, that we have to, in teaching, like I say, I'm a teacher, that we have to have high expectations. And there's something to learn with what I'm learning as a teacher, because narcissists are a lot like children. They say they have the emotional state as like a 2-year-old, or sometimes middle school, high school, but it's stunted. And there's different psychology through it. That, maintaining high expectations, that we are telling the kids, we believe you're this good, and that's what they're going to want to achieve. So we have to be careful when we're like, you're this good, I know you can do 2 + 2. And then they're like, well, I did it. Like, can I take a break now? And the same with our relationships. We have to keep the expectations up and know your people. Not everybody's going to want to meet those expectations. So that's why we have to take that time to invest in each other. And there are some of you, though, that have, been with your narcissist a long time before moving in or getting married, to where you're like, I thought I did. And we got lots of people joining us. We are doing great in the daily ranking. We have been kicking it out of the ballpark, kicking it, hitting it. But I appreciate you guys joining. I do have school in the morning. I'm teaching summer school. So I'm going to go ahead and log off. I'd love to talk to you guys all night. But thank you guys so much for joining. Feel free to comment, share your stories. And thank you guys for being open and honest with me and sharing your stories. That helps so many people. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night. Bye. Bye, guys.